undefeated. The UConn women wrapped up a regular season completely unblemished. I'll look both back at the 31-0 regular season and ahead to this weekend's Big East tournament on this jammed women's basketball edition of Locked On UConn.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday and welcome back to another episode of Locked On UConn. I am Matt Shonvisky, a two-time graduate, 10-year credentialed media member, and host of the only daily UConn sports podcast, Locked On UConn, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network in the world. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and thank you for making this your first listen each and every single day. On today's show, the Huskies wrapped up the regular season with a 36-point win over St. John's, undefeated once again. Then we'll look back at the entire regular season, 31-0. What does it mean? How does it compare to some of the all-time greats? Then we will finally look ahead to the Big East tournament bracket as it was revealed yesterday. What is the Huskies' path down at Mohegan beginning this weekend? But first, we're starting with Sunday's 85-41 win over St. John's, where UConn absolutely came out of the gates on fire. 24-9 after the first quarter. This game was over at the half, 43-20 after the first and second quarter. And the Huskies spread it around. And the Huskies played. Minutes were spread around. 14 points for Azzi Fudd led the way. In her final regular season game with the Huskies, 6-12 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. And Sarah Strong, Sarah Williams, both starters had 11. Allie Zabel off the bench for 13 points in only 14 minutes. She was 5 of 6 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 3 rebounds. Sarah Strong didn't have a Sarah Strong-like game. Played 27 minutes, 11 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, but she did have 6 steals. So impactful on the defensive end. And St. John's turned it over 22 times on the day. UConn had 25 assists on their 36 field goals. And listen, it was a complete and utter, as every time we talk about a game, complete and utter domination. Complete and utter domination. As UConn rolled to 31-0 and finished the regular season 20-0 in the Big East. What a performance. What a season. Blanca got 19 minutes, 5 points, 2 of 6 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 3 assists, 2 steals herself. Spectacular showing, spectacular season. Spectacular season. A season where your top 2 players all season long really dominated. Absolutely dominated. Sarah Strong finished the year 18.6 points, 7 rebounds, 7.5 rebounds, 3 steals, 4 assists. Completely impactful player. 60%. She was 59.5% from the field. It's absolutely unbelievable showing. 41% basically from 3. And then Azzi Fudd right behind Sarah Strong, 17.9 points. Call it 18. 3 assists a game. 49% from the field. 45% from 3. Led the Huskies. Allie Zabel only just right behind her, 44.6% from 3. Just what UConn was able to do this entire season was just absolutely and utterly spectacular. We're going to talk about that in the second segment. We're going to just rehash the regular season because I can't believe it. We're already all the way through the regular season. And we're talking Big East tournament starting this weekend, this Friday night at Mohegan Sun. UConn will play Saturday in their first game. We'll talk about that in the third segment today. But this UConn team and what they've been able to do and how they dominated St. John's is exactly how they've dominated this season. They didn't have as many forced turnovers as they've had in the past. It wasn't a 39 turnover performance like UConn did to, I think it was Marquette earlier this season. But it just goes to show you how impactful this team can be, how much pressure they put on the team. to be able to go out and really perform at such a high level consistently all season long. And Azzi Fudd, we talked about this when she on her senior day, recapping senior day at Gamble. She's going to be missed, not just for what she does on the court. She's going to be missed for what she does for UConn, this program, and for the game of women's basketball off the court as well, and how she's viewed, and how the role model that she is, especially for the younger kids. It's something you can't recreate. Her reach, her impact that she's had. And it's going to continue even when she leaves UConn. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So, UConn wrapped up the regular season 85-49 winners. In the second segment, we're going to talk about the undefeated regular season. We're going to rehash it. We'll probably spend a good 15 minutes on this. That's why I'm cutting the first segment a little short. And we'll talk about that after the break. What if sports were traded like markets? Now, you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You could buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that actually matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now, I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Back in on this Tuesday edition of Locked On UConn, we are going to spend a good amount of time looking back at the regular season. 31-0, 20-0 in conference. The 11th time UConn has run the table under Geno Auriemma in stores. 11 undefeated seasons. And the way they did it this year, my. Average margin of victory, 38 points. This is their third highest margin of victory ever in a season. By just 2.6 points. The greatest margin of error ever was in the 14-15 season, where they won by 40.6 points per game. And then 15-16 team, they won by an average of 39.7 points per game. This is where this team ranks among the all-time greats in terms of overall performance. Like, you think back to the Diana Taurasi years. You think back to the Maya Moore years. They surpassed, just from a performance standpoint, what those teams did. Now, I will say this. The Big East is not what the Big East is today. The Big East back in the Diana Taurasi days, the Big East in the Maya Moore days, was not what the Big East is today. So there's a caveat there. But just in terms of performance and how UConn completed a regular season domination, where they now have the 5th longest winning streak in Division I history. They've won 47 consecutive games. 47! Dating back to the loss against Tennessee last season on the road in Knoxville. They've tied their own streak. When UConn ran 20-13 to 2015, they won 47 straight victories. That's what UConn's accomplished. That's what this team has done. And the big thing, outside of UConn performance, the final game of the regular season, UConn at St. John's. St. John's moved that game. Usually it's on campus, Carnesecca. This was at Madison Square Garden, in front of almost 10,000 fans in New York City. Vast majority were UConn fans. But still, Madison Square Garden getting 10,000 in that building. What a spotlight. What a spotlight on that game. What a spotlight on this program. What a spotlight on this team. What a spotlight on this game of women's basketball. That's the first thing, first and foremost. Several shows ago, we talked about what UConn's meant to the game of basketball. And this was when UConn played the doubleheader down at MSG earlier this season. It's not the first time there. We talked about what UConn has meant to the game. How before UConn came onto the stage, the thought of having a women's basketball doubleheader in New York City at Madison Square Garden was unheard of. And now, through UConn's dominance, UConn's performance, UConn's consistency, UConn's strength, UConn's brand, they're able to go to MSG and fill an arena. And showcase their game. Because what they've become as a program, what they've become as an institution, and what they become as a symbol for the game of women's basketball. So that's what took place over the weekend. You heard some of the stats. Let's just rehash. Because this undefeated season, 31-0, 20-0 in conference, it started with a win over a ranked Louisville team by 13. UConn did not have an easy out-of-conference schedule. So much like the men, Geno obviously has always loaded up. Out of conference, you had Louisville, Florida State, Ohio State, Michigan, Utah, USC, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Iowa. You want to talk about some of the big matchups in women's basketball? Let's run through that again. Tennessee speaks for itself, the greatest rivalry in the game. Notre Dame, the second biggest rivalry in the game. Iowa, national power, ranked 11th. USC, national power, ranked 16th. Utah, Michigan, this year, 6th in the nation when they played. Ohio State, Florida State, Louisville, ranked 20th. UConn didn't shy away. They're not crawling into 31-0 or scheduling their way to 31-0. They are lining them up and taking them down. And that's exactly what they did. Starting with that Louisville game, the 13-point win over number 20 Louisville. And then Florida State, 32-point win. Ohio State, they dominated again, 32-point win. And then you had the win over Loyola Chicago in between there. But then came at 4-0, in came Michigan. You had the Michigan game. And what a battle that was. Let's just rehash. 72-69 win. Where UConn went up huge in the Hall of Fame Women's Showcase. 22-5 after the first quarter. Up by 18 at the half. And then all of a sudden, here comes Michigan with an 18-4 third quarter. And I remember watching that game. I wasn't even doing the Locked On show yet. Wasn't doing Locked On UConn yet. And Michigan gave UConn everything they could handle down the stretch. And it took a superb performance by Azzi Fudd. 31 points for season high. 31 points, 7 of 12 from 3 that night. And then Sarah Strong played all 40. 16 points and 20 rebounds. 6 assists, 3 steals, and 4 blocks that day. Both of them teamed up and absolutely took it to and secured the win, I would say, over the Michigan Wolverines. And could that be a matchup? Could that be a matchup we see down the line? Now, Michigan's 24-5, number 8 in the nation. Wouldn't say they're a top 5 team at the moment, but listen, they've played UConn the closest out of any team all season. Iowa's right behind them, another familiar opponent. Ohio State's right behind them at 11. Louisville's right behind them at 12. So UConn's played number 8, 9, 11, 12 heading into the tournament. Notre Dame's out of the top 25. Tennessee's out of the top 25. Villanova's out of the top 25. Let's keep going through the schedule. Because 31-0. Just the feat to be able to do it so consistently from start to finish during a season. So you looked at that Michigan game. You said, okay, they got Utah up next. Utah's a Big 12 school. Let's see what this is going to be like. 52-point win. And then they opened conference play. And then it was Big East time. Xavier, check. They also played South Florida on the road. That was a huge win, 34 points. But go back to the Xavier win. 65-point margin of victory over Xavier. Followed up with a win over DePaul. Now, these are the two teams that finished last and second to last in the conference this year. DePaul was the second game in the Big East. 67. If 65 wasn't enough, let's talk about 67-point margin of victory. So it's your two highest scoring games of the season you had right off the bat entering Big East play. 104 points against Xavier, 102 against DePaul. And then they went out west at USC. 79-51 winners on the road. Juju's obviously not healthy, wasn't playing. But still, UConn on the road in LA. First time at SC in a very long time. We talked about that on the show at the time. 79-51 winners. And it was home for Marquette. Took down Iowa by 26 in that doubleheader at Madison Square Garden. And then they returned there again this past weekend. But then they rolled Big East. They rolled Butler, Providence, Seton Hall, St. John's, Creighton, Villanova, Notre Dame, Georgetown, Seton Hall, Xavier, Tennessee, DePaul, Butler, Creighton. In between them, from that win, you're talking about margin of victory. Here we go. I'm going to read it off for you. Iowa was 26. We just talked about that. Butler, 47. Providence, 37. Seton Hall, 36. St. John's, 45. Creighton, 51. Villanova, 49. Creighton was 41. Creighton was 41. Villanova, 49. Notre Dame, second best rivalry in the sport. UConn took them down by 38. Georgetown, 41. These are all games in a row. Seton Hall by 40. Xavier, 58-point win. Tennessee, 30, despite being tied at the half. DePaul by 46. Butler by 32. Creighton by 50. So you had a stretch there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We didn't say any score lower than 30. That's how dominant the season was. Just to put it into perspective. And then you got into the Marquette and Villanova games. Very close. Sarah Strong wasn't her best. Geno even said, hey, got to sit Sarah for a bit. Got the win over Marquette by 15, Villanova by 14. And then they close the season back on track. Providence, Georgetown, St. John's. Wins by 43. Wins by 32. And then a win by 36 to close the season. So 31-0 on the year. 20-0 in conference. Just the job that Geno Auriemma has been able to do. And we talked about it here on the show. Just the consistency. This is the 11 undefeated seasons. 11. And could it be? We're going to look ahead because now it's tournament time. We're going to look ahead to the Big East tournament in the next break. But Could it be another undefeated entire season and national championship to match the greats of all time here in stores? We'll talk about that as we go forward, as we look ahead to this weekend at Mohegan Sun, as the Big East tournament is about to tip off. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want. Rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits my... You can mix spreads, totals, and player matchups to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel. Play your game. Again, you can build any college hoops parlay you want. Rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel. Play your game. Back in on this final segment of Locked On UConn Women's Edition, and we're looking ahead to this weekend's Big East tournament, which begins at Mohegan Sun on Friday. UConn begins play on Saturday, and they will play the winner of Georgetown and Butler, who play Friday, 11 a.m. UConn will be the noon game, Saturday, March 6th. So this Saturday, Mohegan Sun. And if you're looking for the tournament, it's a new season this year. All games of the 2026 Big East Women's Tournament will be on Peacock and NBC Sports Network, the same channel that has broadcast all the UConn games that have been on Peacock will have the Big East Women's Basketball Tournament. So UConn will get the winner of Georgetown and Butler, who finished 8-9 in conference, this Saturday. They're also on UConn's side is Marquette and Creighton. Should UConn get past Georgetown and Butler, they would play the winner of Marquette and Creighton on Sunday, March 8th. That's also going to be an early start. So UConn's got the early matchups. And finally, the final on Monday night. If I'm looking ahead, it's probably going to be Villanova. They're the 2 seed. Seton Hall's the 3 seed. Also on that side, in the early day Friday games, you got Providence DePaul, the 7 and 10, then St. John's Xavier, the 8 and 11. Excuse me, the 6 and 11. But the path I see, you're probably looking UConn Georgetown, then UConn Marquette, then UConn Villanova. It's going to be probably Georgetown, Marquette, or Creighton, then Villanova is what I project UConn's path will be for the Big East tournament down in Mohegan Sun. So as this team kicks things off, and as we get forward and closer to the Big East tournament, we'll have full coverage here on Locked On UConn. No doubt about it. We're going to have we'll have the press conferences leading in. We'll go game by game. We'll have game previews. We'll have post game. As we get into tournament time, we're going to give you, the guys and girls, the coverage that you deserve with the women's team as we head into the Big East tournament. So keep an eye out for that as we move forward this week, into this weekend, into early next week, Monday night in the final. Should UConn get there? Let's put that caveat. But hey, 31-0, 20-0 in conference. We talked about how they rolled through this conference. So what we're looking at, probably Georgetown finished 6-14 in the regular season, 13-16 overall. I think you'll see Marquette again in the semis, 12-8 overall in the conference, 18-11 overall. And then probably Villanova, 16-4 in conference, 23-6 overall. And obviously we just talked about what UConn's done to both of those teams over the last couple of games. Villanova played them pretty close, 14-point game, 83-69. And then Marquette, same thing, 71-56 on the road. So that's what we'll be looking at as we go ahead here on Locked On UConn. As we move forward, we will get back to men's coverage tomorrow. We'll have football coverage. Spring football is coming. We're going to talk about that as well. But for today, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On UConn. As we mentioned, we will look forward to men's basketball coverage, football coverage. We'll talk a little hockey as well because we're getting close to end of regular season. And then, of course, Big East tournament coming up this weekend for the UConn women. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On UConn on social media so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On UConn ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonucon.supercast.com to join the club. Again, lockedonucon.supercast.com to join the club. We'll talk football. We'll talk men's basketball. We'll talk women's basketball. We'll talk hockey. Maybe we'll throw in baseball, softball. It's a busy time of year here in the UConn Athletic Department. Until then, see ya!